Hello everyone, I'm Dimitri with Canucks. Welcome to another video. Based on the many comments I've received and also wanting to do this myself, is to compare the S340 Elite from NZXT with the P400s tempered glass edition from Fantex. In order to make this a little bit more interesting for the battle of the best mid-tower, I've decided to include two more cases. The Defined C from Fractal Design and the Be Quiet Pure Base 600. So let the battle of the best mid-tower begin. Right after a message from our sponsor, of course. Cooler Master Master Keys keyboard lineup is now available in 3 sizes to fit within your space, with large, medium and small boards with either beautiful RGB or pure white LED illumination. A little something for everyone. Make it yours with the Master Keys Pro by Cooler Master. Alright, so I chose these 4 towers because they share similar price points, with the Defined C being the cheapest of the bunch but without a tempered glass, so take that into account, while the P400s TG is very well priced to be competitive at 89 bucks, and the S340 Elite alongside the Pure Base 600 TG are both $99. Only 2 of the cases have value added accessories, so the NZXT puck is included on the S340 Elite. I love this thing as a headphone stand, it's magnetic, it's awesome, or if you think of creative ways to handle your cables, while the P400s TG comes with a magnetic RGB strip that connects directly to the case lighting and matches the illuminated text at the front. Neither the Fractal nor the Be Quiet case offer any goodies, but the Pure Base 600 is the only case in this roundup with 5.25-inch drive base. Rest in peace. It is removable though and needs to be off to make room for a 240mm radiator. The glass mount does not vary. They all use a similar 4 thumb screw method with rubber protectors. The perimeter of the glass on Fantex and NZXT cases are blacked out to hide the frame and help to conceal fingerprints, which is a major positive, while the glass on the Be Quiet case is fully transparent throughout, so you can see the frame underneath. However, the Be Quiet glass panel is the only one backwards compatible with non-TG edition cases. I would consider that a positive, however, they don't sell the panel by themselves, so yeah. It's a shame that Fractal Design hasn't released anything with glass yet, as the Defined C is still one of my favorite mid-towers, but design-wise, there's something for everyone, from this pure boxy frame on the S340 with the matte surface on the metal panels that looks super clean, to this Iron Man mask look on the P400s with some character with those accented ventilation ports, while both the Pure Base 600 and Defined C are basically derivatives of their predecessors, with brushed plastic texture on the front on both cases, with a staple blue LED on the Defined C and orange outlines on a PB600. When it comes to color, NZXT is leading the pack to offer diverse interior and exterior styles. Fantex is catching up with a slightly different approach, with accented pieces like PCI brackets and drive covers, while Be Quiet sticks to their orange brand color with the rubber pieces standing out, also available in black and gray, while Fractal Design is limited to black only. Size-wise, there is some variance, S340 being the tallest, Pure Base 600 being the longest, and Defined C is the smallest case, which is super impressive as it can do as much as the others. A simple trick here, what they've done are to create shorter case feet that allows the main frame to be slightly extended in height. There are 7 PCI slots per case, and neither of them are too large and should comfortably fit for on-desk use. The I/O also varies. They all cover the basics of 2 USB 3 ports and audio jacks, but the S340 is superior with 4 USB ports and an HDMI pass-through for VR and other things, and you route that cable through the opening in the back, nice and simple. The P400s has a fan controller in the front for 3 fans alongside a color switch button for case lighting. Still, this is one of the best implementations we've seen for case lighting. The Be Quiet case also has a fan controller with 3 speed settings, but nothing special on the Defined C aside from those blackout USB 3 ports. Now let's talk cooling. Each of these cases comes with 2 fans. Only the Be Quiet case has a 140mm fan, all others are 120mm. The front intake is almost identical, so by default each case supports dual 120 and 140mm fans with their respective radiators, and the frames here are very open with flexible mounting strips, and only recently we started seeing the removable front piece on the shroud for installation of larger radiators at the front. So both the P400s and the Defined C have this feature to support 360mm radiators with this option to slide the drive cage on the Defiant C away from the front to create that clearance without compromising on the drive cage itself, while you can only remove the drive cage on the P400 if you go this route. The front dust filters are also set up quite differently, so both the S340 Elite and the Defiant C have large dust filters right against the fans, but with side ventilation openings on the Defiant C and top to bottom openings on the S340, while the Be Quiet and Fantex cases have filters on the ventilation ports themselves, and we'll see if that makes a difference in cooling later on. As for airflow at the top, the S340 has a single mount, no dust filter here, while the P400 has the standard dual 120/140 mounts with either plastic covers or dust filters, the same that is found on the Defiant C, but with a single piece spanning this area with dust filter included, while the Be Quiet case has a different approach altogether with that top panel, letting users raise it without removal, so you don't need a dust filter here and airflow can exit freely given you use low RPM fans. And with all of these, the top fan mounts are really meant for fans only, as height restrictions on these mid towers would limit radiator clearance, especially if you're using tall ram kits. I do appreciate the captive thumb screws on all of the metal side panels, but the Defiant C is the first case in a really long time where all the thumb screws were tightened just right without me needing to, take out my screwdriver, unlike the impossible to remove by hand thumb screws on pretty much all other cases. Power supply dust filters are all here, removable from the back, except for the Defiant C that conveniently removes from the front. On the inside, we've got some similarities with regards to the power supply shroud, except for a more traditional layout on the Be Quiet case, and they sure need to add a shroud on their next case. The most functional shroud lives on the S340 because cable cutouts are all in the right places, including the one for the GPU cables. There are 3 SSD caddies to show off your drives with a side mount that is oriented properly with good spacing for SATA cables, while the shroud on the Defiant C is a bit more simple with a bit of this angular frame near the top with just ventilation openings for the bottom chamber. The lack of cutouts for the GPU cables might have been on purpose, but in some instances it might look cool, and we find the same thing on the P400S with just ventilation holes, no additional cutouts except for the ones underneath the motherboard. The S340 is the only case that doesn't have any rubber grommets because the frame is supposed to hide your cables, and these plastic clips are fine to hold small cables, but they surely are not good for tightening your 24 pin, for example, or just bundling up a mess in there. The P400 is better as it comes with Velcro straps that are easier to use and let you tighten things as much as you want. Be Quiet case is less fun because you need to do more work with cable tie hoops, and the Defiant C by far handles cable management the best because of these dual loop Velcro straps and a clever angled frame on the side of the motherboard that creates this additional space where all of your cables can fit no problem. For storage, the P400S is okay. We have dual SSDs and dual hard drive brackets, all at the back with optional drive brackets at the front where those white plates are. I love the spread of SSDs on the S340, but the cage underneath is for hard drives only that sit directly on metal, so it's metal on metal contact, kind of disappointing. The Pure Base 600 with a more traditional layout fits more 3.5-inch drives that are removable, but they do block the front intake, and the Defiant C for the size is amazing with a clever drive gauge and triple SSD bracket to avoid storage compromises. So the assembly process between all 4 is pretty similar. All have the extended motherboard standoffs in the center. It's easier to work when there is power supply shroud in the case just to hide those cables, but there is one major oversight on a Pure Base 600 with rubber grommets, as my standard ATX board covers up the main cutouts, so I had to route the 24 pin through a different hole. But even worse, that SATA area is not even accessible unless you pull the cables through the rectangular cutout on the right. And it seems like these rubber grommets are tailored for a slightly smaller motherboard where they align perfectly fine. So for temperatures, I used my workstation system with a 980 Ti, a 6800K at 4.2 GHz, cooled by the Corsair H100i V2 with Maglev fans at the front for intake, and I kept the 2 default fans for rear exhaust. So the GPU remained at 83C, about 52% fan speed, with just slight fluctuations around 1100 MHz, while CPU temperatures remained basically the same on the Fantex Fractal and NZXT cases, but with a a pretty significant spike on the Be Quiet case, most likely due to a more restricted front intake.
Oh, hey there. NCX.com is Canada's leading e-tailer for anything your mind desires. Just keep within those categories, which are plenty, and get tempted by their weekly deals. Visit NCX.com for all them sweet deals.
And so there you have it. Each case with their own unique strength and weaknesses in a relatively close price bubble, so that if there are sales going on, it might nudge you into the right direction on what mid-tower to choose for your next system. Make sure to check out individual reviews for all these cases alongside our case trends video for 2017 on what we want to see from the case industry moving forward. All that is linked in the description below. And also, I'm curious to know what you guys feel would be the winner from this roundup. And I particularly didn't want to label anything because I would like to see what you guys want from a mid-tower. So yeah, let me know in the comments down below. I'm Dimitri with Canucks. I hope this has been helpful, and we'll see you in the next video.